Want to take attendance, Mrs. Greer, to see if we have a quorum.
Dick Parada,
Present.
Jack Avery,
Present.
Eddie Zero,
Present.
Peter Lannis,
Present.
Lou Brown.
Present.
Rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for the moment of silence, I'd like us all to remember the 41st President of the United States, George Bush, and in honor of him, I have something that Mother Teresa has said. And she says, I think we should all remember this in this hectic year of politics. To hate people will not change anything. To love them will. Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, we have 4 petitioners tonight. The first one is Emo. Is Emo? No need to speak in the mic. It's not.
I'll use my indoor voice. So, Woman March, the actual permit application to hold the march is in Jim's Venus hands this evening, so that'll be voted on later on. I wanted to tell you all about it. As you all know, our first Woman March brought 10,000 people to Seneca Falls. Our second march brought 15,000, and we're pushing for 20,000 to come. January 19, 2019. Remember, the 19th Amendment. So in preparation, we have had monthly and weekly meetings now. We've also met with Chief Feenstra and members of the police department, the Seneca County Sheriff's Department, New York State Police, Homeland Security, and the military representatives from Gettysburg that represent the Women's Rights National Historical Park. They also will be on site that day. So we are working very diligently to get all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed. On Friday, the 18th, the Mobile Technology Jumbotron vehicle will be arriving from Pennsylvania. You've seen them at great big football games and concerts. So he's going to pull up in front of the Partridge Building at 115 Fall Street. That will be cordoned off on Friday, awaiting his arrival, so that when we actually congregate on that Saturday morning, people in the area will be able to see what's going on the walkway at Women's Rights Park. So that'll be Friday the 18th. Speeches begin at 10 a.m. Some of our speakers, well, one, for instance, is Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul is coming back again. The others are all committing. I think lovely Lauren just said that she would not be able to make it, but we're expecting folks from Washington, D.C. as well. So that starts at 10 a.m. and then Chief Feenstra at 11:30 will tell me to step off on the march, and we will march. Starting from the Women's Rights Park, going towards the hotel, the Gould Hotel on 5 and 20, we will turn left on State Street. We will march to the South Park Street, where we turn right, go down South Park, and then we will turn right on Cayuga Street. We will march down Cayuga Street to Lower Fall, and Lower Fall down by the Mews. When you head that way, because I'm sure you'll all be marching, you will find food trucks will be lined up. We hope to have 4 to 6 food trucks there. Also, there will be a 40 by 60 tent in front of 10 Fall Street that will be information. There will be NGOs there and possibly some vendors sending, you know, merchandise. So then the concert begins when we arrive there. We have a very short concert that will begin at 1 o'clock. Just for 1 hour, perhaps maybe 1.5 hours. We have several very famous groups that are coming here from New York City and other places. They will be on a flatbed truck that will be at the stage behind the Muse building. And so everyone will be congregating around that area. So music, food, everything should end between 2 and 2 p.m. And that's my story. Any questions? Yes, Supervisor Rosado.
Porta-johns.
Porta-johns, we will have 12 porta-johns, probably 6 over by Women's Rights and 6 down by the Muse. We will also have, I think shuttle buses. We will have, I think, 6 shuttle buses from Minders Academy, 4 regular and 2 handicapped, and I'm also seeking 2 handicapped shuttle buses from Waterloo Central, so that we will be able to shuttle these folks around. They will be parking at the Tops Plaza parking lot and at the Liberty Tree parking lot. We get permission every year from their owners to do that. There will be teams of students there from Hobart William Smith directing students, or directing people as to where they should park. And we do know that buses are coming from across the country bringing people here, so we will have a designated area for buses to be parking as well. We will be notifying people in the area where we're going to be marching. We will leave them a note at their homes letting them know that we'll be marching through. The traffic will be suspended for a short while that morning.
Do you have any other parking areas?
We've also used Minders Academy parking area.
Okay.
And we put this out on our Facebook page. And I don't know if you've seen our Facebook page. I don't know if you've seen any of our materials. But in order to come here, we tell these people, you must be dignified. You must not leave a mess. You must not be rude. You must be civil. And you must be joining our tenets, which are, you know, equality for all. Women's rights, black rights, white rights, everyone's rights, human rights. So that's what our story is, Women March. This will be our 3rd march. Our 4th will be January 2020. That'll probably be the final march. Or not.
Thank you.
Questions? No? Okay, thank you very much, and I hope you will all be there.
Mr. Robert McGill. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, I'm Robert L. McGill Jr. from Waterloo, New York. I'm kind of going to skip around a little bit, and it may not sound too good. It's going to be a little chopped. But I first want to start out with town law. I just handed Mr. Lazaro a copy of a letter from the state of New York, which specifically states that there is nothing in the Constitution that guarantees the public the right to participate in local government. In other words, nobody has a constitutional right to be here. The state's open meeting law is the statute that requires the meetings to be held in public. But it's up to the discretion of the board and the supervisor as to how the meeting is run, who's allowed to speak, and who's out of order. And I do believe, and somebody should check on this, if you check with the town law manual and the, what is it, of towns? Association of Towns. I would think that a video now constitutes an open meeting. So any of these people who get unruly, and you constantly have to remind them that they're interrupting and not to speak, or you have them removed, you can bar them from the meetings, tell them to go home and watch the video. On to economic development. I notice you're spending a lot of money on the Seneca Falls Economic Development Corporation. And I also realize that you're cutting funding for your visitor center. A lot of people are wondering how come other communities are doing better than Seneca Falls. Well, a funny thing happened on the way to the meeting tonight. The village of Waterloo spent all day fixing a water main in front of my house. They got all done and they all left, and guess what? They had to come back. Because 10 feet from where they fixed it, it broke again. And that happens over and over and over again in Waterloo. You just don't hear about it because the mayor runs the newspaper. Okay? So all you hear is the good stuff. You see that the state of New York just put $5 million into the failed event center that Geneva built on the lake. They built a $5 million event center, promoted it, hired their outfit out as if it could have run it, and it was a total disaster. So along comes the state of New York, turns it into a visitor center, and puts another $5 million in it, and there you have it. Your visitor center has somebody there that answers the phone, responds to emails, they are physically present, and they can do far more for you than this economic development corporation that stood right here and said, some of these ideas are 15 years old. I wonder why. Because they aren't going to work, and they never were going to work. It's just a bunch of baloney that they copied from the Chamber of Commerce. All that information was on the internet for years. And they put it all together and charge you for it.
3 minutes, Mr. Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Reverend Dr. Allison Stokes.
Damn, she was nice.
I'm Allison Stokes, a Seneca Falls taxpayer and voter. Tonight I will not read a statement. I will simply state facts learned through FOIL requests. For doing so, I cannot be sued. Fact: at its May 1st meeting, the board passed a resolution to take by eminent domain a 20-foot permanent easement to install a sewer line on Ludovico Sculpture Trail. Fact: on Thursday, the appellate court department in Rochester will hear the appeal of this decision. It will be made by Sheila Shalafo, the trail's attorney. Fact: the trail, a non-profit organization, has no money. Attorney Shalafo of Victor, who has 25 years experience in eminent domain, is essentially volunteering her time pro bono. Fact: last year our town board hired David Foster to represent us as full-time town attorney. During 2018, his annual salary, including benefits, is over $90,000. This works out to be about $7,500 a month. Fact: in January, the town board retained the Barclay Damon law firm of Buffalo to represent the town in defending the eminent domain action against the trail. Fact: the legal fee of the lead attorney on this ED case is $430 an hour. The legal fee of the associate working closely with him is $260 an hour. Fact: from January through August, the town paid Barclay Damon a total of over $150,000. This averages to a monthly expense of about $14,400. Fact: in September, the Barclay Damon billed more than doubled. The town paid a whopping $38,922 for 1 month. Fact: on December 27th, the Ludovico Sculpture Trail made a settlement offer. The bulk of the offer, $140,000, was money already budgeted by the Barton and LaJudas to bring the trail up to state trail standards after the sewer line was installed. Instead, the money would be put into the trail's hands for ongoing maintenance. If accepted, this agreement would have ended the legal action and permitted the sewer project to go forward immediately. Fact: the town board rejected the offer and made no counter offer. Ironically, Supervisor Lazzaro's familiar mantra has consistently been, negotiate, don't litigate. Final fact: adding what our town attorney has cost us so far this year to what Barclay Damon has been paid, the figure is almost $250,000, about $222,000. And the October, November, December legal expenses have yet to be paid. My opinion, our town needs to stop this wasteful spending. Board, please take corrective action. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Matt Blair from the town of Seneca Falls. To speak about the town of Seneca Falls.
I'm here tonight basically to stand up for a man who has distinguished himself by serving his country with honor. He has distinguished himself as a professional in the field of law. He is a person that I personally look to and refer to fondly as my rabbi. In addition to having graduated from Cornell University School of Law and maintained a professional law practice for over 4 decades, served as a judge, a person who is considered to be
fair and unbiased in all of his dealings by everybody that I've talked to outside of this building. And an individual that I believe has saved the town of Seneca Falls countless hundreds of thousands of dollars by getting rid of a legal backlog that existed the day he took work here. The other thing that I would like to say about him is that he is a man of unyielding honesty and integrity. I recently was very disturbed by the knowledge that a lot of people were blaming him for running off without authority and negotiating deals behind everybody's backs with Seneca Meadows, which couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, as I discovered. His conversations with Seneca Meadows were done with the authority of the board backing him. Why this wasn't made known and who participated in the votes is something that I can't explain, but I'm not going to share any individual names as far as that's concerned here tonight, because I refer you to Philippians 2:3, which says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or empty pride, but in humility consider others more important than yourselves." That's David Lee Foster. And that's the reason you didn't hear him jump up and defend himself, because it would have been at the expense of others. This is the man that you're talking about getting rid of. This is the man that has been unfairly excoriated over the past months. And as I said, he wouldn't speak out because he is a man of integrity and he puts others before himself. I can't believe that we're letting someone like this go. As a result of that, I personally believe that I must take a stand. Also, with regard to Marshall Foster, a highly educated and skilled network administrator who doubles as the Director of Information Technology for our town, this is a very important function, and it's something that should be full-time and it should be on site. The previous fiasco with the contracted services resulted in unacceptable lag times in getting critical services and maintenance and excessive add-on fees for each individual task performed. I would like to know what happened. May I have a little more time, please?
Yeah, I'll give you
Thank
30
you.
seconds.
I would like to know what happened to all of the computer equipment and supplies that the contractor services, when the contractor services ended prior to the move to the town's present offices, and why our computer codes were needed to operate, that were needed to operate the doors in the town's office, were held hostage, for which a ransom was demanded. The need for a secure on-site IT operation should be apparent to anyone, and above all, it should be held above all of the turmoil of politics and personal vendettas.
Okay, Matt.
Okay, I'll wrap up now. So, as a result of this, I, and I believe others that I'm not going to name for the reasons I just said, will be tendering my resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals. I will no longer be active with the Waste Management Advisory Committee, because this just isn't fair. And so that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, before we start the agenda, I'd like to remove 2 agenda items, and those 2 agenda items are E, the resolution of salary adjustment for Deputy Highway Superintendent and under old business, and G, under highway, authorized increase in pay for laborer. Again, we are in negotiations for them to unionize, and we cannot settle salary disputes or have negotiations outside those constructive negotiations that we're having with the union. So those are being removed for tonight's agenda. On the other issues, 2 other issues, I'd like to move.
Can I interject here on G?
Yes.
Highway, water, sewer. Anytime an employee better themselves taking tests or whatever, CDL, water plant, sewer plant. We have always said that we'd like to give them increases for showing their initiative to do that and better themselves. And I think G, an increase for labor should be staying on under new business.
Can I interject something?
Yep.
They are under the auspice of labor union now. This is the job classification of laborer. Okay, a CDL license is not required for a laborer. The position is just what it says. The laborers were hired for the distinct purpose of cleaning creeks, shoveling snow, and taking care of the rest of the responsibilities that we felt as a board we needed laborer positions for. By doing this, if we do this, take this, what we're going to do is be assigning people work outside of their classifications. And under a bargaining agreement, it's going to be described in the bargaining agreement what is a heavy equipment operator, what is a light equipment operator, and what is a laborer's position. So those rates will be set by the bargaining group's labor representative. We can't supersede where we're at right now with negotiations or what the county has set up as guidelines that we should follow.
So then the other two laborers that have CDLs, we just don't let them drive a truck then?
They're not under their classification. If needed, they can. But it's nothing that says they're going to be paid. If we've done it before, that's fine. But it's a whole different world now in the town of Seneca Falls. We have a bargaining group. So the days of just handing out money is over. If you give these people $1, that's $2,000 a year on an average of 2,000 hours. Now look at the other labor positions we have in water. They're going to knock on the door and they're going to want an upgrade. And they do have CDL licenses and currently they don't get it. So when do you stop with the money?
We just went through the matrix system and everybody was supposed to be.
Right.
That had CDLs and whatever.
Right.
Okay, the bottom line is that could, if a laborer who has a CDL license, who doesn't need the CDL license to be in the laborer position, is allowed to drive a truck, then that person, then someone else in the bargaining unit could file an out-of-title work grievance. And so even if that person does have a CDL, if the person wants to move up to another position, they take the appropriate civil service tests, and if they score high enough, and if there's an opening in that position, then they will get that job and they will be able to utilize their CDL license. At this point in time, a laborer position, part and parcel of that job specification does not include a CDL license. Since we're in labor negotiations with the union, then they do not receive that increase in salary.
And to add to that, where they're at now, if they're laborers, but if there comes a time they don't want to be a laborer, everybody can't be classified the same. We have different classifications now. We're not going to compress the levels where everybody is an MEO. There has to be that classification, like a level 1 is a janitor, a level 3 is homeowner, a level 9 is a machinist. You need those classifications, and that's what we're looking at now in the bargaining group. Can't explain it any better than what the county explained to me and what you have in front of you.
Can I speak, Greg?
No, we don't need any more information.
I thought, did he take a civil service test?
Yes,
An employee?
Yes, he did.
There's no test for that job. Get the job, yeah.
Yeah. Vice
Greg,
President.
I just have one thing. I know that, we spent a great deal of time working with water and sewer on the idea of cross-training, so that people are competent to do a multitude of jobs. And this would seem to be in the same vein. I understand the union issue puts a specific bent on this, but this, you know, this means that he's, you know, legally able to drive a snowplow if he's needed, which is one thing. But you're shaking your head no.
It does not. He has to be in the title to drive the snowplow. In order to do that,
Right now, he's a laborer.
or that would be an out-of-title work business. Because if he drove a snowplow and it meant someone not getting overtime who was in the proper job classification, that person would file a grievance and win that grievance and be paid the overtime pay.
So Jim needs, for whatever reason, somebody's sick or whatever, and he needs a snowplow driver, and he's gone through his regular drivers and nobody can cover it, or they're already all out on the road. He can't call this person, even though he's qualified to drive the truck.
We will be settling the contract really soon. We just finished it up and we're tagging back and forth, but that will be explicitly outlined in the contract. They will tell you a call-in procedure and how they are going to use laborers and how they'll use MEOs and how they'll use deputies. That'll all be spelled out in the contract. That supersedes anything that we can come up with here outside of the bargaining room.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the other two issues that will be moved to the top of the agenda are K and L under new business. K will be A, SMI permit, and L will be eliminate the town attorney position. That will be B. Okay, we'll move on with the agenda then. Approval of minutes. I'm going to batch these. The A, the budget workshop from October 17th, 2018. B, the budget workshop from October 18th, 2018. C, the budget workshop from October 22nd, 2018. D, the special meeting October 26th, 2018. And E, the public hearing and meeting November 7th, 2018. I move.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Reports. The snow door control officer. Is former Dor Daly still taking calls sometimes? Okay.
She is.
And
She's
so-
still on. Yeah.
She's still on, okay.
So is she withdrawn her resignation, or?
She said she'll stay on as long as,
I-
until we find someone.
Okay.
I would ask that the board appoint a committee to reach out to Dalen and to speak with her. Her services are top-notch. She's an authority in her field. And I think there's some issues as to non-enforcement which compelled her to feel that, for want of a better phrase, what's the use of writing the tickets if they're not going anywhere? I think that's a communication that the board members could have with the courts and with Dalen, and perhaps we could structure something to make that come back, because the town is surely the loser by not having her expertise, and the fact that she's staying on and doing it anyway without, even though she has resigned, I think speaks volumes of her commitment and her ability. And I would ask the board to appoint a committee to meet with her, reach out, and also speak with the courts here as to a procedure as to what they can do.
Greg,
Yes.
since Doug and I are with the court, could we take that committee? We'll take that, Doug, and we'll talk with the judges.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay.
If that's all right, do it
I
through the court
think,
committee.
yeah, I think there's a misunderstanding here between the courts and Dalen. Police officers routinely come to court having written a ticket, and the ticket gets dismissed for whatever reason. They don't quit, they don't walk away, and it's not, I think there needs to be a global perspective of what's happening And I think we could resolve this. And I hate to see us lose her because I feel that she is extremely capable in what she does and very knowledgeable of ag and markets and also of the various laws that pertain to this. So I would just ask that the two of you meet with the judges and with her, and I think it could be resolved.
Is that all right with you? We'll just take it under.
That, you know, talk to Dalen first to get the specifics.
I agree.
And then go and speak to any people that you need to at the lab.
Yeah, no, I meant, is it all right if it's the two of us?
Yeah. Volunteerism is great. Make a motion to approve the zoning officer report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls Parks and Recreation report. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve a highway superintendent's report.
I'll make that one. I'll second it.
Discussion?
I have a question. Jim, when we got all that snow, did we do the snow removal downtown?
Yes,
How did it work?
very well.
Beautiful. Real nice.
That was it.
Could have been better.
Better.
Jim, I thought you had some problems with that, though. You contacted me the next day, and you said the guys didn't get on top of it because the snow fell really
snowplow,
hard,
there
really
was-
fast, and you had some,
Cars were parked downtown all night long.
okay,
State plows couldn't get around them. Guys are having a hard time.
so
So that's going to be addressed here
that's
shortly.
going to be addressed tonight, yes.
Correct.
So the issue, there were some issues, and we're going to rectify those and move on.
All in all, it went well.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the assessors report.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Is that a town attorney report?
Yeah, I would just like to note, Allison has already commented on one that on Thursday, the matter of eminent domain will be heard by the 4th Department in Rochester. I would invite any of you to go to the webpage of the 4th Department Appellate Division, and I believe they have downstreaming video, and you are able to watch the oral arguments as opposed to driving all the way up there. Parking is virtually impossible around the appellate division. But I believe you'll be able to watch it. If you go on the website, it gives you the URL that you need to hit on it. It gives you a listing of when your case will be heard, and you can see the attorneys basically argue the case. It has been operational, it's been working for a while. There was a couple of weeks where it went down through some glitches, but I believe it's running. It'll give you an opportunity to watch the oral arguments. Mr. McNamara, our counsel, will be there, and you'll have an opportunity to hear the justices ask whatever questions they have. The whole thing lasts generally, each attorney might get 5 minutes, which is why I prefer doing it this way. Otherwise, you drive all the way up there, you park, you wait, you get there, and 5 minutes later, after your case is called, it's over with, and you're on your way back. So I think it's a nice alternative, and I would invite all of you to listen to what our counsel has to say, as well as the opposing side. Tomorrow, in front of Justice Doyle, there will be a motion argued on behalf of the HPC with regard to the Koch property. That's at 10 o'clock in Waterloo. For those of you who wish to attend, the opposing counsel will be there along with the town-appointed counsel for the HPC. And next week, remind everybody that we have the bond issue with Environmental Facilities Corporation. That'll be a special meeting. You'll see later on in the package tonight, but that will be held, I believe it's on, Nikki, 13th?
13th,
On the 13th, at what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in here.
Yeah.
So 13th, 5 o'clock here will be the public hearing and the adoption of some documents with regard to the bonding and the funding. So for those of you who wish to come to that, it's a very, very busy month for legal issues. So, but that'll give you a highlight of what's going on. Hopefully, you won't be compelled to travel all the way to Rochester. That's it.
Okay, thank you. No report from the town justices this month. I make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Water and Sewer Department report.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Police monthly report.
Second.
Discussion.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Just like to remind everybody, this Saturday from 10 to 12, we're hosting our 3rd annual Fill the Cruiser Toy Drive. So please come down if you can to see us between 10 and 12. We'll be at the corner of Fall and Cuba Street. And we'll have some cider and stuff like that to pass out. And please bring a new unwrapped toy, and all those toys go back to children in Seneca County. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the report from Barton and Judas.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the Town of Seneca Falls Information and Technology Department report.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the communications dated and received December 4th.
Second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Need write-off on uncollectible receivables. Nothing to report. Roll. Move forward. Yes?
Yep. Second.
Anything, Lou?
I'll second it.
Okay. We don't need a second on that tonight.
So there aren't any?
Route 414 sewer line transfer from IDA to the town. At this point, we're waiting on 2 other towns' votes, and we're going to have meetings next week. I'll let the board members know when we have those meetings, so if they want to attend those meetings at the county level, and attend those meetings also. Installation of fire hydrant on Lake Spur Road. Joe?
You can take that off on the agenda, that's in progress.
It's in progress, okay.
That's going to be right on the corner of that park, right?
It's going to go through the back of the park and then goes down to a little lot of woods to Spur.
Thank you.
Yep.
Policy for use of space at condominium, we tabled that.
Well, I reached out to Diana, and I haven't heard back. I didn't realize that Rita was going to be here. But basically, what I recommended is I explained that the large room, that if the sale at 10 Fall goes through, we're going to lose that large storage building, and that we're going to need document storage, if nothing else. And so I recommended that we be able to set aside that room for our own use, at least for now, until we find out what's going to happen with 10-12. Basically offered him the medium-large room to the right if you go in from Canal Side, and explained that there's that smaller office that still has some historic preservation documents inside that's locked, and that would not be at their disposal. So basically waiting for her to respond. If that's acceptable to her, then we'll create some sort of document that creates a paper trail.
Okay. Thank you. It's a Wonderful Life request for signage. This letter is a follow-up to the inquiry we previously made regarding signage identifying the location of the Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Museum. As you know, the museum was left off of wayfinding signage in Seneca Falls, directing people to local museums and other attractions. The museum is seeking a remedy to correct this situation. As visitation to the museum increases each year, not only is the economic vitality of Seneca Falls and the region enriched, but the opportunity to promote the Seneca Falls brand is growing. Respectfully, we would like to request an opportunity to meet for follow-up discussion. We look forward to hearing back from you. On behalf of the Museum's Board of Trustees, we thank you. Frederick Capozzi and Michael Maris.
That was going to fall to Jim and Lou and me, and by my own confession, we just haven't had a chance to all get together with Chief Capozzi. But that's in the plan. Obviously, it's not going to happen for this year, but we'll have something in place.
We have a board member here, maybe she knows, Sandra Ferrara. Do you know where they want to put the signs, what they have in mind?
I really don't.
You don't?
Lou, it's bad to put your wife on the spot.
Just looking for a way to get it.
Why did you do that?
I'm sure I'll hear it later.
You're not going to be eating for a month.
I hope you already ate.
Yeah, I saw that look.
We'll include you in on the free meetings. Okay. H is in progress, the Cold War exemption.
I'll work with Stephanie on that. We'll have a model law that we can adopt, but I want to make sure it's going to be in conformity with other people around.
I have bids from the sanitation service for the former village area.
We've got 2 bids, remember?
Yeah, 2 bids.
There. And this is the low bid right here.
The low bid was D&L Disposal 2, 1886 Whitback Road, Newark, New York. That was at $10,550 per month. The other bid,
It was $126,000 for the year, and the other bid was $141,000. It's
140.
in there.
Yeah.
Question on that.
It's a little late in the game, but we probably should have put it out before. Does this bid require that waste removal truck have the arm to pick our totes up?
Oh, wait, they don't have the arm, but they have that piece in the back. What was that
They got
called?
the tipper.
Tipper?
Tipper. They have the tipper in the back. And Jimmy said that was fine.
Did you talk to someone, Jim, on that?
Yes, I talked to Nikki. Nikki was gonna call the
And
contractor.
he does have the tipper.
Just that they're gonna have to have another guy on the machine instead of just one guy picking it. Now with the tipper, you're gonna have to have 1 or 2 guys on that garbage truck, but that's gonna be their problem, not ours.
Right. The other guy is... He did 141.
The other gentleman bid,
141 for the first year. We just want the
yeah,
first year.
$141,000. Where is it from?
Gardner?
Cardinal.
He's from...
And you?
Dundee.
Okay, Dundee. Okay, I guess we gotta accept the D&L Disposal 2. So I'll make a motion to accept that bid.
Second.
Discussion.
What was the figure again?
Figure was,
126,000 a year.
that's $10,550 per month. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Yeah. And J has been already completed, feasibility study for the IT position. And that was done. Vic?
Yeah.
Did you?
Me and Lou. yeah.
Okay. Okay, you're still continuing that?
We have received some paperwork from Marshall that I reviewed, and we have a meeting set up for, I believe it's 1:30 Friday to talk with him.
Right.
Face to face, myself and Lou. Just
Okay.
have a couple other questions. Maybe get familiar with a little bit more with some of the equipment or whatever since he's taken over.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under new business, A, the SMI annual permit. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we give them their permit.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. I will be abstaining from this vote. If I'm correct, I've already voted 3 times yes for this. I think people know how I feel on this permit. It's been held up. I would have to wonder why it's being motioned and seconded at this point from the people who have motioned it and seconded. Is there any new information that they have? Is why they've decided to motion and second it?
Is it confidential on the email we got
What's confidential on the email?
from Dave Howell?
First of all, the only people who can move and second it would be the people who
Yeah.
voted against it,
Against it, which I did.
which he did, and which
And I-
Doug did. So that's, I think, the answer to why it was moved and seconded, so that it, otherwise it can't be brought back on by a person
No.
who lost on
Yeah.
the vote, so. Correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
The thing was, what Doug and I and Vic were saying, when the money comes, if the money's coming in, we're fine with the landfill.
So,
And from what I understand, I got an email with a copy of the check that's going to be handed in tomorrow to the town of Seneca Falls for $1 million, something, I can't remember what the ad was.
The check is dated, I believe, the check is dated in October.
Right.
It was prepared, but when the board declined to issue the permit, they simply held the check. So it's been, I believe, I haven't actually seen we didn't attach the image to it, but I think the check is dated sometime in October. And Kyle indicated at that time when he was here that he had a check, it was ready, but he wanted the issuance of the local permit. And when the board failed to do so, he basically withheld the funds.
And normally they hand the check in before that time, and it wasn't that handed in.
I haven't seen a copy of the check.
I haven't seen the actual copy, but I've spoken.
Well, geez, I'm sure you were
I've
all in
spoken
that.
with Scott
Well, I
Turner.
was in on it, good, but I haven't seen it yet.
Scott Turner is their counsel. He's represented that the check is there, and I spoke with, Kyle spoke with me and indicated that it was dated in October and it was there. And Dave Howe indicated to me that he was going to recommend to the board, his advice to you was to approve this because it's really a separate issue from what the other litigation we have. The two items are separate. They have separate criteria, and there is no reason legally to withhold the permit.
And we're willing to accept that, even though the check hopefully will come tomorrow. It's sort of a gentleman's agreement that we're both moving.
I suspect it will.
But David's point's well taken, though, that normally, even if they were to happen on the same night, Kyle would have presented his check at the beginning of the meeting while we acted on the permit at new business. And so it's sort of a cart before the horse thing, or chicken and the egg or whatever, but, you know, they didn't present the check. And so in that regard, you know, they're as mixed up in this as we are for not approving the permit.
I think it's better to speak in terms of positive things. Why don't we?
Okay, well, and it is. I mean, we're both working through our attorney, their attorney. You know, we've agreed to everything's going to move forward this month, and I think that's great.
Excellent.
So negotiations taking place.
It's not negotiations for a new host agreement. It's not negotiations toward 2037.
Sounds like
It's very, very different.
negotiations to me. And the mantra of aggressively doesn't seem to take hold here somewhere. You know, and I still believe that you can't have it both ways. And when people say he hands in the check at the time of a permit renewal, in my 3 years on the board, he hasn't always done that. That's been, of lately, he's handed in a check, and it's not always the exact time of a permit renewal. I think this smacks of negotiations, and I don't understand why on the one hand you don't want negotiations, on the other hand you do want negotiations. It's either full force ahead. I believe the bigger issue is we have to come to terms with our future and sit down with Seneca Meadows and talk to them about agreements for the future, because they are a large corporation, a large business in this area, and I think we've become quite belligerent in our discussions and relationships with them. And I believe this is akin to negotiations. But again, I will abstain from voting on this because I've already voted yes 3 times, so I don't think I need to state my opinion again on that. So I'll be abstaining from it.
The check was on the 23rd of October, $1,041,180.02.
And that means what? What's that mean?
They're supposed to give it to us tomorrow if the permit was
So
passed.
we didn't get it yet.
Tomorrow, they're gonna give it to us tomorrow.
Okay, so tomorrow.
And you were copied in, Doug Avery, Greg Lazaro, Vic, Lou.
I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Sandy got it.
And according to negotiations, I think we did say that we were looking for a different date of like 2030 or something. It's not that we dropped the ball. They didn't come back and say, yes, we can do 2030 or some other date with maybe less money than $5 million. I talked to you about that.
Yeah, I'll disagree with that, because to me, the payment is about the garbage that's coming in now. The permit is about the garbage that's coming in now. It has nothing to do with what happens after 2025.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Will you take a roll call vote, Mrs. Freer?
Sure. Dick Beretta,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes.
Greg Lazaro,
Abstain.
David Delanis,
Yes.
Lou Ferrara,
Abstain.
Motion passes 3-0. Seneca Meadows will be receiving that permit, their annual permit, to run their business legally in Seneca Falls, New York.
Mr. Screwer, there is a fee for the permit, is there not?
Yes, $250.
So that has to be tendered along with the other check.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the next. There's a resolution. I'm going to need a motion and a second for this.
So moved.
Second.
I have to read the resolution first, so everyone knows what resolution I'm reading, I believe. That's how it works. B is eliminate the town attorney position. I need a motion on this. So I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, this was on at my insistence, and it's basically to correct the record from November. This motion it wasn't a motion, we were dealing with it in a budget workshop, but it was declared out of order because, and the allegation was made that the three of us had met illegally to strategize about this whole thing. And that was quite simply, a fabrication. Because we haven't. For those of you in the audience who are confused by what we're saying, you can't have more than 2 board members together at a time because 3 constitutes a quorum and therefore becomes a meeting. And so, trust me, we went to great lengths to avoid talking to each other in groups of 3. And so the allegation was made that we hadn't done that, that we had met in what was essentially an illegal meeting, and it simply isn't true. In this building, there have been occasions where there have been 3 of us in the same room together. It's very difficult not to. The irony for me is that every time it's happened, the supervisor has been present. And I'm just in the interest of clarity, I will also say that I do attend the Seneca Falls Development Corporation meetings, of which Dave and Greg are members, but I'm a non-voting observer. But for me, the most important thing here is simply to set the record straight that the 3 of us, the allegation that was made to us in a public meeting that we had met illegally to discuss this strategy is simply incorrect.
It's not an issue to be overruled.
Meeting of 3 does not just mean a physical meeting at 3. And court cases have proved that. I don't have the court cases in front of me. I'm not prepared to talk about that tonight. But meetings at 3 is not just a physical meeting at 3. Meetings of 3 are discussed over email, are discussed by phone, are discussed without a quorum, with just a small quorum of the board or quorum of the board that's going to agree with that sentiment. And court cases have ruled that those kinds of activities cannot take place. So I stand on my words. I think that 3 people have been meeting and have been cooperating with one another without the full information given to the full board members. Meetings of 3, quorum meetings of 3 does not just mean being physically present. And court cases have proved that. So, I didn't fabricate that, Mr. Avery. And I would hope you would take that accusation back.
Because
Mr. You are out of order now. You accused me of something I didn't. Here we go. Out of order.
Sorry.
I'd like to ask a question also. We didn't read the resolution yet, but I'm looking at it. And it says, whereas the use of the full-time town attorney has still resulted in the expenditure of nearly $200,000 in outside attorney fees in the first 3 quarters of 2018. I have a question of Mr. Foster. If you aren't an attorney that's specialized in one area or another, are you? What is the title for that?
Some of the issues that are before the town are areas are specialized. Eminent domain is a specialty in New York State.
Right.
As
The
to
landfill
bankruptcy,
litigation.
employment,
The landfill litigation,
Yes.
that's specialized.
It is.
So in other words, if I need a hip replacement and I go to my doctor, he's gonna send me off to a specialist.
He is.
Right. So in your role is that we're dealing with 3 lawsuits that were brought on by certain people that speak at our podium. And those lawsuits aren't anything that we brought on ourselves as a town. We are merely defending ourselves against these. So for a town attorney to act and to go out and find the proper people to defend ourselves, I don't see where that figure is relative to having it be a reason for dismissal of said attorney. I also see where $30,000 a year in health insurance benefits. I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe there's a contract. And if we do let him go, we're still going to pay him for a year. So whether he's sitting in that office or not, I want to know where we're going to go. Because we have, what's the date of that bond?
13th.
The 13th. If we act on this tonight and Mr. Foster gets up and leaves, what is our plan? Who's going to walk us through this minefield? Where do we go? We have negotiations we're working through. We have litigations we're working through. I have no questions. I want to say that the first year I was on, I foiled from Nikki because my mantra was no outside attorney fees. I wanted it to stop. And at the time, we were only using one, brought on by a previous administration's attorney. For a 6-month period, it was $120,000. And that same firm is back now doing the same thing they did then. And the meter is just running. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand where we can go with this.
And my point with that part of the resolution is simply that you know, we haven't, right or wrong, if the expectation was that we were going to save some money in that regard by having a full-time attorney, that hasn't happened.
Right.
That's all.
I just feel as though, in his defense, that Matt Blair spoke very eloquently about the different boards that he is sitting in on. He's walked them through he got the solar farm. I mean, he's taken care of a whole host of legalities that we're not even aware of on these other different subcommittees that we see. I just wish as a board that we could come in here, all of us, every day and go through what the supervisor and myself go through. As it is, we show up, I'm guilty too, we show up once a month for a meeting. And we have a certain mindset, and that's what we're going to act on. I wish we could all see why we have a secretary who we couldn't work without. There's other things that this town needs. You're out of order, supervisor, you're out of order. The other issue is a town manager. We had it when we were a little village. We so need somebody to steer this ship on the day-to-day operations. I sat here months ago and I spoke. We needed an ethics committee. We needed a town manager. I threw out what I felt was a State of the Union address as per Lou Ferrara. I got 3 responses back on ethics committees, and it fell. Nobody ever said anything more about it. Just to see what goes on. And I mean, he sits on committees at the county level also. He's an at-large councilman for the county. So I mean, the stuff, we sat down the other day with the bond financial expert. He laid it out on the timeline that we're about to miss. There's so much that goes on that showing up once a month for a meeting does not do this town justice. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, make it a revolving deputy position. Push everybody into that spot and everybody come in and sit here for a month. Take a month. Take a week. Sit in the chair for a week. Get the phone calls. Get the notes that they put on your desk. Work with Waterloo on intermunicipals. It's mind-boggling. We're elected officials. We should be doing what elected officials do. Go out and talk to other elected officials, get grants, go out and seek business development, not sit here and try and defend ourselves and go off on these. I mean, if that's really a way we want to go, I would like to know how we are going to get by with what we're doing, because to say that we don't need that is You have to come in and really sit here and observe.
Well, I'll remove my second.
Okay, I mean, you wanted, basically, I really just wanted to clear the air, because
Yeah,
I still
no,
believe,
I
email, you know,
understand.
we do email,
Yeah.
and not everybody, not all of us are privy to all emails.
I
So-
honest to
you know,
God,
it's
I
just
wish, and I've
what
said
we
it
were
to Kim
doing.
before, I wish all the councilmen could come in, that 3-member rule, I wish they'd throw that out the window. And just see what goes on in this building on a day-to-day basis. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. You have the police with server issues. You have doors that we can't access, we're locked out of. We have to call the IT person to fix this. He was called in on his birthday at night. I know his salary, and he respects that. He came in from Geneva. It's just mind-boggling to sit here and say that we actually don't need these positions. I mean, before you do this justice, please, each one of you come in for a week or 2 weeks, sit here, and then come back and say, you know what, Lou, you're foolish. You're
Lou,
you're full of stuffing.
I'm almost
You're
here.
full of stuffing.
Louis, I'm here almost every day. I
Yes, you
start
are. Yes, you are. You're
over in the court, go to Nikki's.
Yep, those
I
are
hit
your
each-
departments. Yep.
Each
You-
office up through here.
Yep, you do. Do you actually sit down and see what goes on in that office?
No, because I don't want 3 of us together.
There you go. And that's
See?
what I'm saying.
That's the rule.
Take my
But
title away.
I go to
give it
each
you.
department head and call them.
Well, that's good. You're not dealing with the public, the people that come in here and actually want to see a supervisor.
Oh, the public emails me. They call me too.
Absolutely.
And I'll call them.
Okay.
Either
Okay.
Jim Peterson or
Yep.
Joe
That's
Tulo.
Good. That's what we
To
all
take
do.
care of the
We're all
problem.
good councilmen. Nobody's saying we're not. I'm saying we were all elected and we're doing the best job we can. All I'm saying is what we're spending, $200,000 in attorney fees is light. That's nothing compared to what's coming down the road.
I removed my second. That's it.
No.
God bless all.
No, Lou, really, the plan was, really, at my insistence, I wanted to clear the air about the allegations made last month.
Yes.
And then this does not have the votes to move forward, so I'm going to withdraw my motion. So Dave, I think, has to withdraw his second
Yeah,
first.
second.
And my second, and it just, that's all valuable stuff.
That's stuff that was keeping me up because I literally don't know what it's making me sick thinking in a year he's gone and what are we gonna do? We have to come
Well,
up with a plan.
there would be a
We need a- yeah, we
plan
need
where
a
we
succession
go back to contractual
We
service.
really do. We need a succession plan. We also need one, as long as we're talking, we also need one for Bev. We need one for her. We need the accountant. We need to know what her plans are, the bookkeeper. I mean, there's a lot there, and she's of age now where we need to really look at this like a town manager would. We need somebody that knows and understands personnel. For the union, I went to Cornell and took labor classes. I'm way out of my field now with this stuff. But we need somebody that can deal with these personnel issues, and it's not an elected official, because I give her a raise this year, and then somebody comes in next year and gives her another one or takes it away. It's all up and down. There's no equity. Everything is being played against everybody and everything. That's not our jobs. That's not our jobs. We should be out there welcoming the new dominoes. We should go up there as a board and say, you know, let's cut the ribbon. Let's welcome these businesses. You know what I'm saying? We're having a groundbreaking for our newest house in Waterloo. I invited the mayor of Waterloo to come and cut the ribbon. Pam Elney was going to come. I mean, it's little things like that. That's what we should be doing as councilmen, not this stuff. My Christmas message to everybody was going to be, I just hope we can all get along as a board and move forward and really, really try and learn each other's jobs and go forward without all this animosity and this distrust, and just try and make the town a better place for everybody. My kids, your kids, everybody. There has to be a way we can do it, because right now people are saying we need mediation. This town board needs mediation. I have emails and posts that are sent to me that would make your toes curl. I invited one of the pastors to sit right there. They actually had the audacity to say, we need mediation. You've never talked to me in the way some of these people have. I can't believe these are high school kids. These are married people with families talking to us the way they do. You're the Honorable Doug Avery, I'm the Honorable Lou Farrar. That's all gone. That's all gone. We're not treated with any more respect than anybody else. We're laughed at. Not only by the people that watch me grandstand and you and Dave and the rest of us, everybody, everybody. We ought to show them that we can come together. We really do. We have to do it. I'm sorry.
Don't be.
I'm good. I'm just glad that last boards that we had, that 3 people never got together.
Merry Christmas.
I'm glad to hear about it.
Merry
Merry Christmas.
Last meeting, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Is this that grandstanding you're talking about?
Merry Christmas, you're talking about. Merry Christmas.
I think it's great.
So have we successfully withdrawn?
All it really needed was
David
for
wants to speak.
all of us.
Thank you.
David, do you want to say something?
I do. Matt, shalom.
Shalom, brother.
Does that mean you're going to rescind your resignation in the spirit of going forward?
If y'all will stop picking on my rabbi, I will.
The other resignation, can we rescind that one also?
Yes, you can.
Thank you so much.
And Dan.
Thank you.
Joe and Dan, Semper Fi. Tom, thank you. Dan, thank you. I thank the members of my boards for coming forward, and it touches me. I say to my board, if at some point you feel, any of you feel, that I am not doing for you what you want done, or the level of my performance is something less than you want, why don't you simply come to me and tell me, you know what, I prefer you to leave, and I might surprise you and just quit. Because I don't care what you do to me. I'm a big person. I survived Vietnam, I'll survive this. But when I see things taken out against a family member who has done nothing to deserve this, and I see members of my board willing to quit their service to your town, that's not acceptable. Your town is served well by the people who are here tonight. And if you don't want me in your fair town, I'm happy to leave. Come and ask me like a man, and you may be surprised. I may just tell you, fine, I'll leave. If that's what you want, then just say it.
That's off the table, okay? Go sharpen your pencils and get back to work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David. Moving on, approval of special events. Mr. Spina.
You should have a resolution in there to read.
Okay, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves the event application submitted by the Women's March Committee for their event scheduled for January 19, 2019. It is understood that the applications have been reviewed and are in order. As a motion, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Chief, do you want to speak to that at all?
What's up?
Do you want to speak to the march? Anything in particular?
No, we have everything in place for that.
Everything's in order. Is Ms. Emo here still? No, okay, I just want to ask her a quick question, but all the appropriate information went to the DOT. Sometimes in between you get other stuff. You get other stuff that might be a holdup. Work on that ASAP and get it to me as soon as possible so I can sign off.
I got one question. Does everyone ask about the insurance? They don't need insurance?
No, because by our policy, it's the First Amendment.
First Amendment? Yeah, I remember reading that in the email. Okay, it was under the First Amendment clause, so they don't need
that.
insurance.
That's correct.
What happens if somebody does get hurt?
That I don't know. That's probably a question for Mr. Foster.
It's under the First Amendment, somebody does get hurt in that town.
Nobody's gonna get hurt.
Let's hope not.
We have a shovel, a shotgun, and 3 acres of land, so no liability.
So, there was motion made, it was seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Bids for engineering services, Phase 2 sidewalk project. I haven't completed looking at those,
The
so.
chief I went ahead without you.
Okay,
The chief and I reviewed it, and we based it off the point system that the county tells us how to pick an engineering firm. That's really something you gotta see.
yeah, no, I've done it.
But I was looking at Doug. That's something, the engineering firms in our market area or our designated area is graded by numbers, right?
Right.
1 through whatever. And you go through each one and you score how you feel at the end, you told them, and that number tells you which engineering firm to pick. And it was Barton and Judas that came out with that. Am I correct?
That's right. I mean, Barton Judas is doing the Phase 1 project currently for the town. They know the town very well. They've done sidewalk projects in the past. We had to read through each application and grade them as we've seen. And I have no complaints with Barton Judas with the way they've handled the first phase and feel that it would be acceptable to hire them for the second phase.
So, you want to put a motion on the table, Lou?
I'd like to put a motion that for Phase 2, we use Barton and Judas to go forward on that project.
I'll second.
That discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Sale of surplus real property. Any movement on 10 Fall Street?
Not yet.
Okay.
I believe this will, well, let's wait until, I'd like to have a meeting with the board.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Related to that? Just, if this doesn't go through with Longley Jones, and we repost that property for sale, I think we need to consider keeping that storage building. I think we're foolish
I
to
agree
give it
on
up.
that.
We don't have anything like it in the district. I'm a teacher again. Anything like it in the town. I think it was a mistake to probably put that up to begin with. So just to plant the seed in your minds, if we post again, if this goes, if it goes through, I understand it's a done deal. If it doesn't go through, we need to save that building if we can.
And
Yeah, make that separate. That's climate control, that's.
Yeah.
They indicated they were prepared to close by year end. It's coming up here momentarily, so if they are, they have. Otherwise, I've indicated we would be doing a time is of the essence. This thing is, that purchase offer and the receipt of the deposit was made prior to my ever being associated with the town by almost a year.
Been dragged out too far.
When I came on board, it was already old, so
And also, in our initial discussions with Longley Jones, that was discussed,
yes.
and they had indicated okay to us keeping that property for two years.
They did.
And so that is always discussed in those negotiations. Some people might say, okay, I'd be willing to allow you to keep that property for a couple of years and then you pay a nominal fee for rental back.
But the representative that we spoke with,
Yeah.
my understanding is no longer with them.
Okay. So.
Well, that would give us time to find another
Yeah.
solution, but
Yeah.
if we repost and keep the building, then we don't have to find another solution.
The Lakewood lawn mowing and snow removal bids, ad, we have to place an ad for
We
that?
do, yes, we do.
Okay. So I make a motion to place an ad for delinquent lawn mowing and snow removal bids.
Second.
Discussion.
I would like to add, I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off?
This is part of our enforcement issues.
Right.
And in speaking with Dean, this is something that, it can be one person, it can be two people, it can be, you can separate them whichever way, am I correct?
Yes, usually we use the contractors that we hire to mow, snow blow. You can separate them if, you know, the company has a specialties. And once in a while, they may have to go board up an abandoned house or something. It's like handyman skills. You know, if one company can do it all.
I would like to add to that I know we moved on the amount, or the lack of an amount to clean up the streets in Seneca Falls. I would like to add that we increase the mowing and the maintenance fees, and we make that in line with what we're doing right now. We're charging $400 minimum to go in, because Dean and I have talked that for $125 a lawn, I'll let them mow my yard. You know, that's pretty much outdated, and it doesn't send the right message. The message is, don't wait for the zoning officer to catch you. Take care of your yard beforehand. Or
it's not 125. The contractors charge a certain amount. We charge the residents $75 per hour.
So we need to, we need to increase those figures. That would be another special hearing, public hearing to do that.
You gotta have a local law.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Hey, while we're on that snow removal of sidewalks, I watched on the news last night, Rochester, Minnesota. If you don't have your sidewalk cleared within 24 hours of a bad storm, the city of Rochester, Minnesota goes in and cleans them and does the same thing.
Our regulation says 9 o'clock the following morning after a major snowstorm, sidewalks have to be cleared.
But we're not enforcing it. There's a lot of,
well, here's
just this little snow we got the other day.
Right.
Seen people walking out on the road.
So here's the issue with the 5 and 20 corridor. Okay, people do go out and they clean that sidewalk off. The sidewalks are so close to the road, the state plow goes by again, boom, it's filled right back in. And that's what they're complaining about, you know, hey, we had it shoveled.
And it's no difference than me on Swaby Street when the town truck goes by and they fill my driveway in. I gotta go back out and clean it up again. So, I mean, if they're property owners of record and they look out of their business and they say my customers can't get in, or the front of my walkway isn't accessible, I need to make it accessible. So that's simple. That shouldn't be a hard answer for them. I have to do it, you have to do it, they should do it.
Other jurisdictions do take into consideration, by analogy, Hamilton Street in Geneva in front of the plaza has a sidewalk running all the way up past the drugstores, go all the way up to the top of Beans Hill and come all the way back down. There's sidewalks. The state plow comes down, it'll fill in those sidewalks in a heartbeat, because they're going 30 miles an hour and they're using a power plow on a wing. You'll have 3 feet of snow buried under the top of the sidewalk within minutes.
It's always that heavy, slushy.
And you can't expect them.
You can't let it freeze, and then you're out of business for the rest of the winter.
Then you're stuck.
So you have to take care of your property.
And those people maybe need to be granted some leeway. You know, if they say, I did it,
yeah,
you know, they get some credit or understanding for that. But
they can't use the argument that, well, the plow is going to come by and plow.
Yeah, and my neighborhood, you know, we're back. The sidewalk's back 25 feet from the street, and it's still, people don't know that they have that obligation, or it's like we've talked about with junk and with lawns and so on. It's landlords that they're not taking the responsibility.
Right.
Before we play hardball on snow plowing, at least, I think we need to do something that gets the word out as to what the obligation is, just to remind people. And I don't think it's enough to put it on our website where they see it if they come looking for it. I think somehow there has to be something active, something mailed out or somehow placed, distributed, that reminds people what their obligation is.
I can't find 5 people that even read a paper anymore. You know, it's terrible. Our public notices, I didn't see it. It was posted. Nothing.
We have that nice new digital billboard out there at 5 and 20 and 318.
There you go.
How about like a postcard?
Something. That's a
postcard.
You know, now is the time to do it anyway. But certainly before we start upping the fees or anything like that, we need to give them some notice. And I think people don't know, or they're hiding behind the words.
Yeah. I think a lot of these landlords do know.
They know, yeah.
So do you want to send out a mailing to each residence in Seneca Falls, and it'll, you know, the mailing will be done by, you know, I guess we can ask Wilson Press. Jim, you want to write up the specifications of what people need to do and get that over to Wilson Press and ask them to send out that mailing or a postcard or whatever they feel is appropriate?
Yep, I can do that.
Why don't you put it in the town and county tax bill?
Pardon me?
Why don't you put a little notice in the town and county tax bill so you're not sending out additional postage?
Sure, they go out in a month.
Yeah, they go out January 1st.
I'd like to get those things out as soon as possible, though.
You might do that anyway.
And you know, the expedience on this notice. If it goes out at the end of the month, yeah.
This way the landlord gets it.
Yeah.
So if we do this mailing,
Yeah.
is it too late to increase my budget for postage?
Pardon?
Yeah.
If we go through this mailing, do I still have time to increase my budget line for postage?
It'll be this year.
I know.
If it comes out again somehow, I guess.
So you don't have any left in this year's budget?
It's not
going
yours
down
anyway,
quick.
it's town expense, it's not yours.
We'll find the money. We need to. I would even send it out twice in tax bills and as soon as possible the other one. And, well, the tax bills would be, could you use that same list as the tax bills?
I guess, huh?
Because if anyone's renting, then it would be up to the landlord to tell the person living in the house, the renter, that they needed to clean.
The postcard could go to occupant, which we get a tenant, and then the tax bill goes to the owner, so you get.
Some of these owners are in Rochester.
Okay, send them out twice then.
Some of these owners are.
Wouldn't it be smarter to set the rate first before we do that? Because that $400 seems to be working. Because I add that right to their violation letter now. That if we come in, the minimum just for us to show up is $400. So shouldn't we set that first and put that warning into that letter?
Well, you can't set it until a public hearing. And the public hearing has to be noticed, and it's month of December.
The language could say something, could say up to $400 or something like that, that allows us some room to move.
Okay. That could be an up to $400 fee back on your taxes for next
You know,
year.
if somebody's got 40 feet of sidewalk, I don't, it's a little different from mowing their lawn.
Okay, I make a motion to send those out.
Second.
Discussion. Lou, you had mentioned for $125, you'd have the town mow your lawn. I thought Sandy mowed your lawn.
She does. I didn't think you were gonna say that.
Busted.
Thanks, boss. Jesus.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Set a year-end meeting date.
We passed over some. Levy delinquent.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Levy delinquent water sewer rents on town council tax bills. Okay, I make a motion to do that.
Second. I've got a question.
Yeah.
How do we get so high in something? $2,000, $1,800? Is there a thing, county can't probably, for health reasons, can't shut the water off, right?
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. I'm looking at some of these, $18,000.
Well, it's...
Water and sewer?
Yeah, it's a 3-year period,
Yeah.
so, and they can actually, they can go and, you know, set up a plan to pay their taxes, so.
I believe any
So, but
resident,
they have to do it within 3 years, correct?
I believe any resident who does not have utilities hooked up can be condemned.
Yeah.
Would be the issue.
Other towns do it. Other towns charge a fee and actually go out and shut it off.
Some communities do shut off water.
Yeah, but then you're looking at the cost of the employees going out to the site to shut it off.
It's
and then
more than
back,
covered,
so.
Stephanie, It's more than covered by the imposition of your neighboring areas. I know Geneva is $150. They red tag it on the Wednesday before, and on Friday they shut it off. If you wait past that, there's a $150 fee to reconnect, and your bill also goes up by an additional amount. It's brutal, but the bottom line is it immediately brings the number of delinquent accounts right down.
I was struck more not by the big ones, but some of the small ones. I mean, people that delinquent on $40, and who they are. That's just.
I mean, there's one for $15.86.
Yeah.
But then 18,000 stuck right out there. It was like, holy crap.
If you want to get rid of the smaller amounts being missed, offer credit cards and allow the people to put it on an automatic payment. Mostly reason that people don't pay small bills is because they miss them. They just are not budgeted if they miss them. If you put them on a credit card with an automatic pay, you'll drop your residuals on it big time.
That's something that we need to talk about after the first of the year on how to bring that up to where we do step up and start taking those types of payments. A lot of banks, I'm sure, are willing to work with us and set those things up for us.
I will tell the board that I had an inquiry tonight. I'm in the process, working with Bev, of doing a request for proposals for banking. I've been contacted by two local institutions. One is Lions, the other one is Generations, which is now able to handle this kind of account. I got a call today asking Generations about wanting to do something which would include having an ATM here in the building. We have payments for the court, payments for water, and payments for fines and other fees over here. Part of that would be doing our taxes and doing our payroll. It would save a tremendous amount of load on our workers. And a similar RFP done in the city of Geneva netted some pretty remarkable services being offered, including like 0.25% decreases in loans for city town employees if you have your payroll through them. So it's something that the local banks want to do, and I believe an RFP for that would surprise you in terms of how much you save and how much the services improve. That's in progress right now.
I know there's one part of this that I need to talk to a banker about, and it's the amount of checks that we sign. And I know in this day and age, they...
You don't have to do that.
I don't know what it's called, but these businesses will give their... Again, I'll refer to my wife. What is it?
EFTs.
And that means that's an EFT is...
Electronic fund transfer.
Okay, so if we reach out to these vendors that we're constantly writing checks with, and they provide us with that, their money would be EFT to them. And then we could stop a lot of these checks that are just astounding in this day and age.
And the reason the bank wants to do this is because the velocity of the money, the amount of money they have going through their coffers justifies, it tells them how much they have to retain, how much they have to hold. So the more money that's coming in, the more successful they are. That's good for us because things like payroll, things like collection of taxes, things like having an ATM here, those are things that can automatically be done by simply bidding out services to, at this point there's at least two. We would of course include we would mail to all the local banks that are interested, and whoever gives us the best package. Strongly encourage that you do it. I've started working some on it with them. After the first of the year, we will have an RFP ready to go.
I sign checks for multiple people monthly because they've got the money.
It's the recurring ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Gas and electric, just for our lumber, car repair places around here, they're all businesses that would accept the EFTs. Thank you again.
I'm just going to give a little plug here by saying that RFPs are something that basically sometimes are farmed out for people to do outside, and they don't have counsel or they don't have experienced people on board. Your RFP for your IT was done internally by Marshall. Normally would have been a $7,500 fee. It was taken care of. The RFP for banking would be another $7,500 hit. It's being done internally between council and one of your department heads. There are savings.
Thank you. Just,
We have to act on this.
okay, yeah, so there's a motion on the floor and a second to levy delinquent water sewer rents on town county tax bills. Motion is second, there's discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Do we want to have, going back to D, do we want to have a public hearing for the additional fees for snow removal?
Yes.
Yes, so,
Yeah.
can we
It's a
do?
local law.
Local law, yeah. So we need a public hearing. Could you make sure that gets in the paper?
No, wait. He has to do a resolution, and you have to present it to the board first.
Okay, so in January, there'll be a resolution,
Yeah.
We can do that.
and he'll present it to the board, and we'll go out for a public hearing.
Okay.
I make a motion to purchase for the highway department the 40-inch flail mower.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I think we should table that, only because I know Jim needs it, I know he wants it, but until I see the money in my hand, I can't spend money. I know we said we're waiting on the check, we gave them their permit tonight. If we get it,
It'll be there tomorrow.
I would like to,
Yeah, but this is a budgeted item in this budget.
It is a budget item.
It's a
okay,
budgeted item in 2018.
all right.
Is that right, Jim?
Yes, it is.
Right, Jim?
Yes, it's.
So we have the money set
We got the
aside.
money, it's already in the budget for 2018.
Go for it.
Okay?
Yep.
I would suggest that you do it because I know that he needs it. Is that correct?
Not now, right?
Yeah.
You better be shoveling snow now.
So the motion to table is
Withdraw.
withdrawn.
It's in the budget.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, I believe. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Set the year-end meeting date. We could have it, what day? New Year's?
The closest is to the end of the year. That's what we've got to do. Usually around the 28th of the month. 28th is a Friday. We usually have it like in the afternoon or early afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest, because I'm setting up a lot of county meetings, year-end dates for my role as a county supervisor. So I'd like to see that set as soon as possible. It's usually a paying the bills.
Paying the bills is towards the year end.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Your bills come in towards
Yeah.
the year end, so we need
So
to
is there
pay
a
as much.
benefit to actually do it on Friday afternoon, the 28th?
Yes.
Okay, can we do it at noon time?
Yes. Oh, that's right.
Big-
It's vacation. He's on vacation.
Yeah.
so-
He's on vacation.
I guess.
That's
So noon on the 28th?
No.
That's the problem with retirement, Doug. You don't get any more vacation time,
I
right?
thought I was gonna have all kinds of time. I was wrong.
Okay, so that's on the 28th at noon.
Wanna make a motion on that?
I make a motion that our year-end meeting date is December 28th, which is a Friday at noon time.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Set reorganizational regular monthly meeting date. I would,
January 1 is on Tuesday, so we have to go Wednesday.
yeah, January 2nd at our regular meeting time, which is 6 o'clock. So I make a motion to set the reorganizational regular monthly meeting date for January 2nd, Wednesday, January 2nd, 2019 at 6 o'clock p.m.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Discussion, winter parking and snow removal.
We just had that.
said, the back of the stores downtown.
In back of the, back of the stores where the municipal parking lot is by, we're right next to Generations Bank.
Right.
We have to get in there to plow it. Cars are parking in there. I talked with Stu, you and Lou about this. These cars are permitted, but we can't get in there if these cars are parked in that permit. So we wanted to send a letter out to park in the lower parking lot over by the community bank, is that it?
Okay.
Chemung Bank, I'm sorry. And that way that parking lot is clear from 1 to 6. So we can get in there and get that cleaned up. With those cars in there, it's hard to maneuver around. I mean, if there's cars in there, part of the parking lot's not getting done, then those cars leave. And then they're thinking that we're not doing our job. The other thing is, on Main Street, we had the big snowstorm. The car was up there all night. I know the police ticketed the car, but the state snowplows go by, and that was a mess. I mean, we took up probably 3 to 4 parking spots. We couldn't get in there to clean it up. So what I just, Stu and myself just wanted to know how the board wanted to proceed with this.
I would suggest that since there's a need for this and we want to enforce this, then again, a mailing would have to go out. Perhaps you could add that to the mailing. And secondly, I think cars will be ticketed or towed, period. Regardless of the weather conditions, they will be ticketed or towed. Because if we have dates in mind from November through May, then if the snow comes, whether the snow comes or not, it's illegal to park in those areas from 1 to what, right?
6.
1 to 6.
These cars are permitted cars for residents that live downtown. The other people are not supposed to park in there at all, period. These are only permitted cars that are in there. But a lot of times, there's cars in there that are not permitted, which the police department tickets on.
Tickets aren't good enough. I mean, it doesn't help you to get rid of the snow.
Right.
Do we have any signs that are down there that says?
Permitted parking only.
Okay, and then do you have one that says all others will be towed in the event between this time and that time?
No, we do not. That would have to go into be another local law in order to have that done.
So between the months of our first snowfall, whatever that is, we can call a weather guy. So between the time of that until we know the snow is gone, anybody not permitted to be there will be towed at the owner's expense.
Okay.
If you put up a sign like that, can you get signs like that?
Again, it's got to go through a local law. Yeah, I can get signs like that.
But that says that everybody with a permit can park there.
So we can do that.
But everybody else.
We can do that.
We can do local law at the same time. At the same time. We got to get a resolution. So
there isn't any sort of snow parking emergency. There's nothing that's declared that Rick kicks that in?
No.
No.
And even the permitted cars, if they're there, which they can be, it's still hard to get around those cars if they're parked, you know.
Okay, Chief.
The current local law states that we are in charge of enforcing that section, which enforcement will involve tagging offending vehicles and in case of emergency, towing offending vehicles away subject to the provisions. I am not classifying a snow removal as an emergency.
But I'm a business owner and I declare it as an emergency because you're not allowing people access to my business.
Okay.
He can't do his job.
I am looking for the board to determine, are you classifying this an emergency? Because if you are, I'll tell my people that they can tow it. I don't think it is.
What does the local law say again? Read that back to me so we're all clear.
The police department will be in charge with enforcing this section, which enforcement will involve tagging offending vehicles and, in case of emergency, towing offending vehicles away.
Are offending vehicles interfering with ambulances, fire trucks, business owners' businesses?
Business owners, maybe, if you consider an inconvenience for the snow, but...
I absolutely would if I was paying the rent of a downtown business and I found out that they can't come in and clean me out to allow my customers to come into the municipal lot.
We have to be careful about calling that an emergency, though.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It has to be
it's a
worded.
serious situation, but I
Right.
don't think you want to use the E word.
Right.
So that's why, you know, maybe we go back to some, so there's an emergency that's declared, rather than, you can't declare it's an emergency from October to May.
No. No.
We can change a local law though, however, to state that you can't park there, or if you are, between those months, your vehicle is subject to be towed. But I don't consider this, you know, Jim and I started this discussion months ago, and we've been kind of, you know, working back and forth on it every time a snowstorm comes, and that's when we decided to come to the board and the supervisor to see which direction. Jim feels we should be towing it, I feel we shouldn't. I feel I need further direction in the town law to authorize the towing. Because it, you know, I personally feel it's not an emergency. I know others feel it is. So what direction are we looking at from the town board?
Can I ask the questions too? I know a long time ago, we used to have dispatchers, and they used to call the people. If you have numbers for the permitted people, we don't have our own robo-calling, is that what it's called, machine?
Yeah, we don't. So I emailed out that letter that I want to send out, reminding everybody that lives there to come in and get an updated sticker, so then we can call. I don't have a problem doing that. We can have the officers do it when available, or have 911 actually make those phone calls for us. However, you know, if they're parked there, let's say if they park there in the middle of the municipal lot, right in Jim's way of plowing it, and they're permitted to park there, are we gonna tow that vehicle on them?
What else do? You lose 3 spots if there's one vehicle there. That plow has to veer way off, so you lost that spot. Now you lost the spot that the vehicle's in, and you have to cut right back in. You lost essentially 4 spots, right, Jim?
Yes.
So,
I know, but I don't feel that the local law permits us.
so then how do you want to handle it? What do you want to do?
I would like to see that the area be not permitted for parking between those hours during the winter months, period. And if your vehicle is parked there, it's subject to be towed. Now, if it's not a snowstorm, we'd just tag it and not tow it. If snow removal was required, that would give us authorization to tow it out of there. But we have to figure out the wording with this, because we're authorizing people to park that back there. And if, for instance, there's a snowstorm, they're gonna come back and their vehicle's not gonna be there.
Counselor, can you work on this before the next meeting?
We already have it.
In fact, when we were a village or whatever, when we tried to do that, you're gonna run into a problem, correct me if I'm wrong or not, is with people that have rental property there, and it used to happen on State Street all the time. They have no place to park or whatever, and it was kind of just one of those things. So then, yeah, we can put 1 to 6 a.m., no parking, but then you're gonna have a whole nother problem with the people, like I said, that have rental property down there on Fall Street and State Street.
Unless we allow them to permit in the small municipal lot by Chemung Bank.
Chemung Bank, with that lot would be available.
Dave said that he would work on it. He'll look at the law part of it. Right, David?
We'll do it.
Yeah.
How many cars are we talking about?
I'd have to look to see how many. I mean, there's.
I mean, but not so many that they wouldn't.
I think they may be able to fit in that area. Yeah.
The other question is on Main Street, cars parked on Main Street. I mean, we can't get in there to clean the sidewalks because those cars are in there. I mean, we could, but there's gonna be spots.
This would go under the same general, I think.
Well, the state would have to step in on that because we got no jurisdiction down there.
Okay, so.
No, we do have jurisdiction.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we have jurisdiction.
Okay, so what I would recommend is with our attorney and with the police committee, Lou and Vic, and set up a date to meet and discuss this solely, come up with a resolution, and we'll have that resolution set for the first meeting in January 2nd, and then we'll have a we'll have a public hearing for that.
Because we've just been chasing our tails on this. We gotta get something done.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
We gotta do it quickly, but right now continue, I mean, if the signage says ticket those cars,
We have.
and if the signs say they might be towed them because they have to adhere to the signage.
Yeah.
More,
It doesn't say that they would be.
okay, so.
So they can only ticket them now.
Yeah, okay, so we will have that local law resolution set for January. We'll have a public hearing set. Hopefully, we could have a special meeting set for that public hearing because we gotta move on. This should be moved sooner and faster. And that kind of public hearing, I don't think you're gonna get a lot of people here, so. You might, you never know.
Or the state can come down and make a wing and just...
Okay, so the resolution on that is that the police committee, Lou, Vic, will meet with the police chief and the attorney and come up with a resolution, and we'll move on that for public hearing date.
Good.
Okay? Thank you. Recreation declares surplus John Deere mower. Make a motion to declare surplus the John Deere mower.
Seconded.
There's a resolution in there, Greg, with 3 in a row.
Then there's
Same page.
Yeah, all on the same page.
Right there.
Resolution declare John Deere Z-Track mower surplus. Resolution, I'll read them separately. Okay, so declare that Z-Track mower is surplus.
Seconded.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Resolution, order MTE Ventrac mower / snow remover. Be resolved that the town board authorizes the ordering of an MTE Ventrac mower / snow remover for January 2019 delivery to Parks and Rec Highway Departments. The town board agrees to lease the machinery at a cost of $10,589 per year for 5 years, which upon the 5th payment, the town will own. First payment will be due 30 days after net delivery.
Seconded.
Is this budgeted?
Yes.
It is, okay.
And the reason being, we want to get this going because it's a long lead time.
Yeah, if it's in the budget, then.
Yeah, and Jimmy will be able to use it downtown, and we'll be able to use it out here along,
This is the one we saw the presentation?
correct.
This is shared between
It's a
the
share
town
between highway,
and the highway.
Park and Rec.
The guy came with the
Yeah.
literature.
Okay. So motion was seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And the third resolution, be it resolved that the town board authorizes the ordering of a 2019 Ford F-350 4x4 pickup truck for Rec Parks Department for a spring 2019 delivery. The town board agrees to lease the vehicle at a cost of $691.61 per month for 5 years. In addition, a $7,375 down payment is required for this truck. Down payment and first monthly payment will be due upon delivery.
Seconded.
Discussion.
It's in the budget.
Any further discussion?
The current truck has a cracked manifold, which is
Correct.
a serious problem.
11 years old.
Okay.
And so Aaron's done a good job of milking that thing for the past 3 or 4 years, 3 years. And
We're not gonna get a whole lot, but we'll still get a little bit of something.
yes, and then, we're working, well, this is through Enterprise, same people we worked through with the police vehicles, and they will help us liquidate it when the time comes. But we have to get this going because it's got to be built because Aaron's truck is specialized with the work boxes and the ladder rack, and so it'll take till May probably for us to receive it.
And it is in the budget.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, motion was made, seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next resolution, selecting and awarding request for proposal on information technology. There's a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
I'm reading it, and I've got one sticking point that I don't know how to get over, but they want a one-time payment of $89.71. I wasn't on the committee, I know other people were.
I thought that was
And-
half.
And
No,
It's
And
half,
they want-
it's half
they
down.
want-
half down.
and they want a monthly payment of $3,200 a month with 50% down. So that being said, I don't really know A from B, but I mean, that's an awful lot of money, I think. I don't know, I think we need to really sit down and maybe put our feelers out a little bit farther. Because this place, Penthouse B, New York, I mean, we're paying rent, I believe, for this place at $81,000, together with a monthly ongoing service charge of $3,296.83, plus 50% down. I'm just not comfortable with it. Anybody's feelings?
I thought it was a little high too on the service a month. I don't remember that.
You would find that out of the 3 bids, the next closest bid is almost double, especially on the monthly. What you're paying here for, Lou, is backup in terms of, in 2 instances. 1, data, and number 2, as just happened, when, for example, the police department called in and had something go out, your new server provides for remote backup, and this was very critical in watching the responses to the RFP to see which were providing a backup that you can go with, where at some point they can remote in, so if it happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, there is a way of calling, and there is a way of it being handled. Our present server doesn't have that capability, and it's something that we had to put into the RFP.
Okay, that being said, is this server, is this something the county could help with as far as storing data or whatever it is we're doing with this?
No, because basically it's an on-site server that you have to have, and the proposals that came in were very clear on finding ways to deal with the situation that the town has. The biggest problem here for cost, from what I could see from the presentations of what came in, is that you have a 2003 server now which is antiquated, delinquent, should have been upgraded years ago. And what happened is that they skipped the 2003, they skipped the 2008, they skipped the 2016. The bottom line is, it was just delay and deny to the point where now you are in a critical zone, and that's exactly what the comptroller found. It's exactly what the people who came in and wanted to bid found.
Okay, so for $81,000, they're gonna come in and put a new server in.
You're getting a brand new server system. It's not just one item. You're getting a brand new server system. You're getting a data migration, which takes all the data you presently have, converts it over to the new system. And then, to be sure that you're not having whatever hiccups or whatever, they're staying on board. You're still there. Part of that monthly fee is for them to do backup if they have to. At the same time, the operation of it is done by your network administrator. So is it a huge jump? Well, when you moved into this building, there was a recommendation by your then outsourced person that you spend, must have been 2011? I don't know when you moved into the building, 2013?
No, 2017.
Okay. In 2017, there was a recommendation to spend $29,000 at that time to put in a new server because you were consolidating town and village items. That wasn't done. So if you put this together, the RFPs were responsive. They came back.
And this was the lowest?
That represents the lowest, and it also represents the most comprehensive, and the company you're dealing with has basically 300 employees, and they do municipal work across the country. We've checked, I had information provided so that both Vic and Dave can call in and speak with the people. They gave references. Overall, I think you're going to find it is a very cost savings way of doing this. And right now, we have departments here that cannot fail. You cannot have PD go down. You cannot have our clerk's office go down, or our data for our assessor go down. You can't have, or the courts. So strongly recommend our RFP. We're past our own date for a decision on this. We had indicated a decision would be out by now. At some point, they have the right to withdraw the price on the bid by saying you took too long. We're past that date. So just, that's the legal end of it, but for the technical end, I invite you to.
We can't go back to typewriters and paper?
We got the email, when Vic and I met with Marshall and David, New Jersey, I think it was Gas Electric. I emailed Mary, I can't remember her last name.
Mary Price.
Price, and she got back to me, and she was very happy with them. She said there was some hiccups in the beginning. That's where we recommend the monthly ongoing service. I think we're going to do it for a year, though, wasn't it?
Do we need them?
Yes, you do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When she came back to me from New Jersey with electric there, she said the one good thing was they did have some hiccups when they changed their server. Okay. And it was into it, but the 3,000, I wish we could negotiate a little bit on that, maybe get that down.
So the other one was double that.
Yeah.
Is that for life, the ones we saw?
No, 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
You can,
and then it goes to IT.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes to IT. But they recommended this when I got a hold of these outside vendors that are using them data price right now.
Okay.
They recommended that because they all had hiccups.
Okay.
One of the other vendors, Lou, requested that be for a 3-year period, and you had to lock in for 3 years.
Yeah, that's
right. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So this is for 1 year. If you don't want it after 2 months, tell them you don't want it, and you're done.
So to put it in terms I understand, this is basically what was put in this building, but now this one goes to the scrapyard, and we're going to have a new one.
With the stuff that's there right now, I believe,
okay.
Marshall tells me he can utilize it as a backup for a lot of data. They call it a SAN.
Yes, storage area
network.
Okay, so now the new one will come in and be there.
The new one will be the server, but
And
the ones you have now will be utilized.
That'll be like we just built this room now with a brand new shiny 2018 system.
State of the art.
Okay.
Now, Marshall, is there enough room in that space, or we got to take some of your desk away?
Everything that we have now is currently on the floor. The system stacked side by side. This new system can either be placed on the floor or mounted horizontally on the rack. We do have plenty of rack space.
Oh, no, okay. I thought maybe we'd have to go a higher rack or something.
Oh.
7-8 foot rack.
We can probably mount it right underneath the cameras.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space on that.
Okay. So we got enough space.
The backup system, that would be something you could like do yourself, or that would require some help from outside as well? Or
They suggest that they set it up.
Oh, they will.
They prefer, I think, to set it up, but then.
Okay, got it. I didn't realize that when we talked.
They prefer to make sure that it's on the.
So then that's the way I get it now, is that they'll set it up, they'll get the bugs out, and then it's on you.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Is this where all this tooling's coming from that you've been ordering?
Yes.
So you'll be able to take care of it afterwards?
I do need that one, the tool that does what we discussed during the budget meeting.
Yeah.
I haven't had that ordered yet.
Okay.
That's the end of my discussion. I'm good, I'm satisfied.
We've had ongoing problems with the present system. and we're setting ourselves up for a failure of...
The present system expired in 2015. Basically, Microsoft said as of 2015, Server 2003 will no longer be supported. It will no longer have security patches given to it. It will no longer be defended. If we were to place any type of remote ability on it and that remote software were to be compromised, there would be nothing to stop an intruder from taking everything.
So now that that's said, none of you can leave the room tonight.
So is that where you see that these towns and hospitals are held hostage for $10,000?
Usually what happens in those cases is the system becomes infected, usually through some kind of a file or a fake update when they know it's vulnerable. And when that comes through, it will encrypt everything on the drive. And then they will contact you and say, we want $1 million to give you the decryption keys, otherwise you can't get your data.
Okay, don't complicate it more than it is right now. I understand.
I'm just trying to say
I don't know what an encrypted key is, so.
If this motion passes tonight, what is the start date for the people?
As quickly as possible.
as quickly as possible.
One team contacted Marshall, the other team, their business team contacted me.
Christopher Stapley
contacted me and said he's ready to go. If I had known for sure that this was going to be on and approved tonight, they would have had a representative here, but I couldn't tell them for sure, so but they will. There will be somebody that comes down and meets with us as well. Actually, I spoke to Bev about it. Doug, she said that she has the funds. She understands what the requirements on it were, and she said there was no problem.
So we don't have to wait till the first of the year?
No, we don't. It's ready to go.
Dave, I have one question. So I have my own separate server for my office, so is that going to be?
Your company is going to continue, but when we're ready to go, that company that processes that software will come in and hook up with the new server on their own, so that way you've got state-of-the-art software. Right now, you're behind a version. When this goes on, we'll be able to take your current version, and the chief will be able to take his current version of the Spillman system, track system, that sort of thing. This will embrace the current systems. Right now, we can't.
Well, I just wondered with my New York State software, I have to have somebody come out of the Batavia region.
And that'll be part of the setup.
So I just have to make sure to know ahead of time to
They will coordinate it with them to come down and hook in whatever they need, and you can provide the access.
All right, thank you.
Do we have the data price midnight for 28th?
That I don't know. It's a holiday week. I don't know, but I know that they're anxious to. They've been calling saying, we gave you a price amount and a time, and we haven't heard from you. Did we lose? Or they're ready to go forward. So,
I know you and I talked with Bev about the money, and she said it was
She said it was all set.
Yeah, it was all set.
All set.
I know.
So that's it.
And it's 50% down.
It is.
Yeah, I saw that. Can I just ask one question or whatever, which will probably be, I can ask them on Friday, but since we're talking about it, like the rec center and the wastewater treatment plant and stuff, I mean, do you have to be, can that be hooked into a server? I don't know how, or does everything have to be physically?
They're separate systems.
Not the wastewater.
They're separate systems, Vic, but I think, I'll let Marshall on Friday deal with you with that, because there are plans to do something to bring things together, and I think we can. But I'll leave it to his expertise. That's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Joe not about the SCADAs and all that stuff. I'm talking about like some of your personal computers. You must have information on there that you got to back up that's pretty critical. That's the only thing I was talking about.
Okay.
But we'll have to talk to Marshall about that, figure out. I wasn't talking about the whole thing.
Right, okay.
That's all I have.
The motion on the floor is properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Set public hearing for sanitary sewer improvement project.
And the board has to make a motion to do that. He's already put it in the paper.
Okay.
You have to make a motion.
Okay, and the public hearing will be set for, make a motion to call a public hearing on the 13th day, December 2018 at 5 o'clock.
Second.
Is that me?
12/13.
Oh, the 13th, yeah, the 13th.
That's already.
That's already on,
noticed.
yeah, that's already on notice.
There's something I am going to recommend, and that's this notice thing, where we have a weekly publication. We need to deal with this weekly publication thing. So we'll deal with it the first of the year on the organizational meeting, but Nikki is just caught in between a rock and a hard place with trying to get these dates in, because you have to have it to them 3 to 4 days before the paper, and then it's only by the week, so that puts us a whole week out before even getting to the 10 days. It makes this scheduling absolutely impossible. So we need to go with either both, or another one, or two together, depending upon the dates and times. It's expensive, I know, but we need to do something with it.
I say under these circumstances, when we do it, we need to use both, because as many people that know about it, the more people will read.
It's true,
And I know with some of them, it comes out of the money that we're being granted.
but there's requirements, Lou, that say that if you can only be so many days before, and you can't be so many days after. So
Right.
when you're dealing with a weekly paper, you're really stuck by how far out you got to project
Right.
to get that date. And if an emergency comes up, you're really stuck.
Right.
You can't
But I
do
know
anything.
town law says we have to use the local paper.
Yes.
But in cases like that, we can use the Finger Lakes Times, correct? Correct?
If you have a publication within your township,
Right.
that's the preferential one, but given the circumstances that one is weekly and
Right.
one is daily, there is a provision where we can put things together on
That
that.
has to be within the county. If you have a
Right.
publication within the county,
Right.
then you have to use that.
Which we're doing. We just need to expand that a little bit.
Right. Okay. So the 13th is for the sanitary sewer improvement project. We already got it noticed, right?
Yep.
That's already
Yes.
And
Okay, so the motion was
to set the hearing date.
accept the hearing date.
It's already.
Did we vote on that?
No.
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Levy delinquent mowing charges on town county tax bills.
Second that.
I won't make any more jokes.
Hey,
He owes you a lot of money, Steve. That's right.
wait a minute, I bought her a zero-turn mower, so that must mean something.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Water and sewer credits as listed. Make a motion.
Seconded.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. No need for an executive session. And make a motion to adjourn.
Everybody in attendance, I'd like to say Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.